Hello, and welcome to Finsweet Live Community Day. Today we are joined with Josh Loh. Josh is the head of content and community at Relume, the world's largest library of Webflow components. He hosts Relume's weekly live stream, which airs every week on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's today, 7 p.m. ET. He's worked with various startups as a product designer and is currently focused on freelance work as a designer and Webflow developer. Josh is also a proud Flow parent of a very joyful 2-year-old daughter and is looking forward to the day she's old enough to learn Webflow. That is amazing. Josh, how are you?
Great. It is such an honor to be here. Thanks so much for having me here, Joe. First off, I have to say, I got to give credit where credit's due and just thank you for paving the way. And like I've been watching your live streams for, since you guys started, and to be on here is a huge honor. So I'm looking forward to having a blast today.
Nice. Thank you, Josh. I really appreciate that. That's big. And it's really big because Josh now runs live streams. We'll talk a little
hmm
bit more about that later, but with Relume, you're managing the live stream. So if you say that Finsweet inspired you to do that, that is a big win for the entire community. So thank you very much. Before we get too far into that, let's say hello to everybody here in the audience. We have lots of people waiting here. We have Zach. Hello. How you doing? Looking
Zach.
forward to this one. And yes, legendary. Pablo Cortez, hello. Tom Volts, hola. Pixelita,
Hey,
very nice,
Pixelita.
hello. Sean Duval, well, hello. Fin
Thanks, Sean.
fan, I like that. Rohan, what's up?
Hey, Rohan.
Charlie, nice. Glad to have you here. Always glad to
Hey,
be here.
Dale.
Thank you, Dale, for always showing up. And we have Devin.
Devin in
Two
the
amazing people.
house.
Nice. All right, we
Getting
got one
getting
more
ready
from
for the
Javi,
rumble.
and that's it. Nice. We've said hello to everybody in the audience that's commented. Now, let's get into this. Josh,
Yes, sir.
let's start with your story. I think a lot of people know who you are today. They've seen
Mhm.
you in the community very active very recently. But let's take a step back and talk about your story. How did you get here? From the beginning of your path to where you are today? Let's hear that story.
Yeah. So my path has been pretty unique. So I shared a little bit on the streams before, but my background is actually in civil engineering. So I worked as a consultant, international and local here in Vancouver, Canada, for 7 years. So 4 years in the mining industry, 3 years in high-rise residential construction. And long story short, basically I've had, like, early on in my engineering career, I had this itch and, like, I needed something more, or like I was, a whiz at Excel, playing with numbers and stuff like that. But I mean, that didn't, like, get me up early in the morning every day. So over time, I started to get, I guess, burnt out. And so eventually I saved up enough, gave myself like a 6 months, 6 to 12 month break, and just allowed myself to explore different areas. So that's when I kind of endeavored into, like, all sorts of many different areas. I ended up taking the whole year off, did some traveling, and read a book called Rest. I forgot who it's by, but really taught, like, it affirmed about how a lot of CEOs, they actually every 7 years they take a big rest, or like sabbatical, and it's a good way to kind of reassess and recalibrate. And so kind of that's what I was doing. So and then during that time, I was just looking into, like, moving elsewhere, or maybe starting a coffee shop. I was looking to like firefighting, all sorts of different stuff. And then all during my time in engineering, I was actually doing videography as like a side gig. So that was kind of like my creative outlet, because in engineering, all you're doing is number crunching. So um, yeah, like during my break, I just stumbled into UX design in a boot camp, and I just pulled the trigger. I saw that UX was like the perfect marriage of like analytical, logical thinking with the creative expression and like the art. So yeah, I never knew it existed, and so that's kind of how I jumped into like product design, and that was 3 years ago. And then when I was exploring more about the place, I found out about Webflow through Ransagal, and then eventually found you guys and started freelancing after that. So I just did a quick 3-month boot camp, and jumped right into just managing projects, just because I had that skill set already. So um, yeah, that was kind of me in a nutshell. But yeah, I'll kind of leave it at that. I got some pictures and stuff to share in my old engineering days, but we'll dive into that later.
Nice. That's a big change. Uh, Going from
Yeah.
civil engineering to this web world. Very
Yes.
different. So, would you say that there's completely different skills between the two industries, or would you say that you kind of reuse some of the skills that you had in civil engineering here in Webflow?
Yeah. Well, I think it's no coincidence that I'm part of Relume, because they're all about like components design, like design thinking, um, like systems design. So everything's modular, and like in the engineering world, there are standards there. Even designing like high-rise buildings, there's like the way you lay out pipes and the codes. Everything is meticulous and organized, and it has to meet like templatized standards. So that mindset, yeah, like completely transferred over pretty easily.
Wow.
And then like my project management skills, you can apply that in like most jobs and stuff. So yeah.
Nice. That is a
Hmm.
great, that's a really cool way to think of those transfer of skills. I love it. Cool. Okay, so now you're here. Now we have you. You've come over to the bright side,
Yeah.
the exciting side, a little bit more creative.
Yeah.
And now why do you want to be featured here on Community Day? What are you here talking about and why?
Yeah, this is relatively a new space. Like I am head of community in Relume, and again, coming from my background, it's different. But I think I just want to highlight just the power of community. Um, I think so. So some of you guys know about 2 months ago now, I got laid off from my uh, the company I was working with at a startup, due to like a budget cuts, and they weren't able to get the financing from other companies. So yeah, and then so I just reached out on Twitter. By the way, I just started joined Twitter probably four or 5 months ago now. And so it's just amazing how strong the community is, how generous they were. And that's when I just started doing these live streams. So yeah, I just want to like emphasize more to reach out to community, talk more about that, talk about the opportunities that are available and things like that. So
That I think is really inspiring for a lot of people because there are a lot of people that either are in a career that they're not 100% in love with and they're thinking about making this change into this
mhm,
no code world, or people who are already in the no code world and they haven't really come out publicly about it.
mhm,
And throughout your story, you've done both. You've entered into the space and you've become very public about it. You said you just joined Twitter 4 months ago, but I see you all over
mhm,
Twitter. I see people sharing your stuff and commenting and everything. So yeah, this I think is an inspiring story for all of you people out there that are thinking about making this change. So hopefully
mhm.
by the end of this, we can push a couple people over to this no code world, right? I like that idea.
Yeah, exactly. And like
Nice.
I would consider myself I kind of like this term, but like I'm a nobody, like I'm a no code nobody. Um like I came from a completely different industry. I'm just one of those new guys that just walked into this like field, this new space, and I'm like, oh, what's going on, guys? And I started like, yeah, like learning more things, and people are just so friendly. So the fact that, again, really, I'm here talking with you is a huge testament. Like, I'm really grateful for the opportunity. And again, like for me, I didn't ask for permission. I just like put myself out there and tried, and really was welcomed very warmly. So it's really amazing.
Nice. I love that. No code, nobody.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think I want people to use that more. If you think you're a no code nobody, that's okay. You can own the title because you can become somebody very quickly if you want to be.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
great. Really, really nice story. Before we go into the screen share and show some of Josh's work, show some old pictures, let's say hello to a couple of new comments in the
Sure.
chat
Yeah.
here. Rohan says, impressive story. Love it. I agree. Absolutely. We have Miguel. Happy to be here. Thank you, Joe and Josh. Thanks, Miguel. Really appreciate that. And we have Lucas. Josh
Hey,
is now
yes.
where he should have been. Strong supporter here. Yeah, so we're getting some
Yeah.
love. Love it. And Gabe,
Awesome.
from no code nobody to no code influencer. Yes. That's the turn. That's what I like to see. Love it. Okay, cool. So now
Yeah, that's
let's get
funny.
into this screen share and let's Josh, please walk us through your
Yeah.
work and walk us through what you want people to see.
Okay. I assume you guys can see it now. All right. So these were my old engineering. So this is in my mining industry, just to show you. I thought it's just fun to show. Nothing related to no code, but yeah, I was doing a lot of construction, pipeline. This is me in Alaska, like digging giant dirt pits just to test the soil. This is me on a drilling rig. So I would stay there for 30 days straight at a time. So they're pretty hardcore like stints, just living on the drill rig and stuff. And then me doing night shift. They're like 12-hour shifts, me making a fire here. A lot of traveling. So this is me in like a float plane. Yeah, doing again night shift, 12-hour night shifts. A lot of helicopter remote flying trips, which is really cool. So this is more like the drilling's more geological studies where like you're drilling to see different like gold or copper in the earth, and then this is more for like hydrological studies where I went and measured like water samples, installed like a data collection equipment just to measure like the water. So that was that, which is really cool. And then that was 4 years, and then I got into high-rise residential. So I just dived into a lot of like buildings, commercial buildings, a lot of pipes, and designing like hot and cold water routes. Yeah, so this was kind of like my typical day, just taking pictures of like pipes and figuring out where the water flowed in and out. And it was cool though, because I got to see like um, cool new construction and like penthouse suites, things like that. So yeah, so that was like my engineering days, and then my videography. This is a quick show reel. It's sped up in like 2x, but I haven't done this in a long time. But yeah, some trips from my work. This is like videography for like a dance studio. Did all sorts of stuff like weddings, corporate highlight videos, fitness videos, things like that. So, and then yeah, anyways, I'll leave it at that. Um, and then yeah, this is when I got into Webflow. So this is my recent one, which was a while ago, about like 2 years ago. Um, in the middle of the pandemic, I finished this off. So it was like an e-commerce store. Really nothing fancy compared to like what's out there already, but this is just kind of my big recent work. Um, yeah, just I actually use Finsweet attributes in here, just with different product lines and things like that. So yeah, and then finally, this is I was really proud of just the Relume Rumble, how I was able to um, put this concept together. I've always been thinking about like esports, and having fun, and like how do we make design fun in a way that like brings the community together. So if you guys haven't checked it out, check out Relume. This is episode 4, and then tonight we have episode 10, which is another Relume Rumble, which is gonna take it the next step higher. So yeah, so that's a little bit about my work.
Very cool. We'll start up with the heavy machinery. Wow.
Okay.
That I wasn't imagining that. Let's bring up from Devin Fountain. Wow. So when he said mining, he really meant it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
this is serious. So
yeah,
this is a super dramatic change from this into creating a website for a bakery. Wow.
yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, cool. So, and Josh, I have to ask, are you happy with this change? Like, do you look back on that and think, wow, I can't imagine myself doing that again? Or do you say, oh, you know what?
uh
I kind of miss this sometimes.
You know what? No, no, I'm really happy where I'm at. I think if I was to do this stuff now with a daughter, like it's like no, it's it was really stressful. Like when I was in Alaska, they sent me out there for 3 months at 1 month stints, and like working 30 days including the weekend for 12-hour shifts. That wasn't fun. Like it was a lot of hard work, but I would say early in my days in my career, like it really built up a lot of resilience. I broke down. Like it was bad. Like they hired some local like drillers, and you know they're just rough and tough guys, and so I went through a lot of like, yeah, harsh experiences. I got some like death threats, and because they knew I was the new guy. So yeah, I like kind of broke down like my first week. I thought they were gonna like beat me up and stuff like that. So it was
Whoa,
pretty rough.
that's
Yeah.
that sounds really bad. You're laughing about it, so you've gotten over it, but that's pretty intense.
It was pretty
Okay,
intense. It was
good.
pretty intense.
I
Yeah.
you know I think you get a lot less of that. Hopefully, none of that in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
No, complete
And
opposite.
the video work also really impressive. Wow, that was some beautiful
Oh, thank you.
stuff. Yeah, thank you for showing that. I had no idea, but this is a very creative side. And the
Yeah,
Relume
I do
Rumble.
miss it.
Oh yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Relume Rumble today, 7 p.m. Eastern. That is 7 hours from now. A little less than 7 hours from now. We added the YouTube link to the description. If you are interested in it, a high energy, high fun event, check that out. Josh does a really good job with this. And I think Relume Rumble is going to be big. I think it's going to be, people will really be wanting to get on that show. So cool. All right,
Awesome.
let's now continue with the next part of the show, which is talking about your key strengths and qualities. So we talk about these
Hmm.
key strengths, and then after this, we're going to talk about advice that you can give to people based on your key qualities and strengths. So let's
Okay.
start here, Josh. What do you do really well?
So during my year off, I really did a lot of like self work, self assessment. If you guys don't know about Strengths Finder, this is a really good book. You can actually get it online, and so it's like a 200 questionnaire quiz, and it identifies like innate strengths in you that, unless you've gone through a traumatic period in your life, the qualities shouldn't change much. So what I learned was like my top 5 strengths was like futurist. I love to just dream about like what could be, what's over the horizon. So I think I'm in the perfect industry for that. Positivity is interesting. Before I took it twice, like one 10 years ago and then another one recently. Positivity wasn't at the very top because I realized going through that like mining experience, I really had to um, be positive like to myself just to like get me going through it. So yeah, so that's positivity. Self assurance is also another one too, just like having like to talk myself out of situations and just almost rely on myself because I didn't have a lot of resources around me. uh Woo is one, which is just like someone who loves to connect with people. So I think that makes sense too. Just me being in community and me naturally always wanting to like hold events and get to know people. So and then learner. I'm a constant learner. I love looking at like new things that are coming, new toys and tools and things like that. So those are like my five strengths according to the Strengths Finder. But overall, like just looking at my engineering background, I'm pretty good at analytical thinking, like systematic thinking, and people have told me that I'm a good listener, so I guess that's good.
That is good. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a nice list of strengths. You're right. I think futurist is absolutely the right industry for this. Right, everybody's trying to
Hmm.
think into the future. It leads the future of the web, and positivity and self assurance. Wow, these are important when you get laid off from your job.
Yeah.
Right? A few
Yeah.
months ago, you're laid off. You can have two
Hmm.
different views about that. You could be really negative, and you can have a really bad view in this, not really be
Hmm.
sure what to do next, or this positivity and self assurance route where you say, hey, I'm going to keep going forward. And I think I remember in your tweet saying, hey, I was just let go. I'm going to be entering this field. Like, I'm looking to network. I'm looking to collaborate. I'm looking to work with people. And I think a week after
Hmm.
that, you joined with Relume.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually now feel these skills coming through you after you mention them like this. So I love it.
Hmm.
That's great. And what's your favorite one? Like of everything that you said in the what you do well, which one do you value the most?
Ooh. Um. Oh man, they're all so good. I would say learner, I think. Especially in this
Nice.
industry, you always have to be staying on top of things. And for me, like the process of learning, not so much like mastering it, but just being able to like learn new things and expose yourself. I think that's been something that's been really helpful.
And what's your most effective way to learn? Like,
Um,
you can answer in a sense
yeah,
of reading or tutorial videos or
right.
trial and error, something like
Yeah.
this.
Typically, I think I watch a lot of YouTube videos, so like a video. However, I think the most effective way is like learning by doing. And actually, this is what I want to encourage more. Like with the Rumble, the Rumble is actually like a proof of concept for something I want to push out more. Is just like real time learning, kind of similar to like a gym when you're, or like a CrossFit gym where you're like working out together. It's one thing to work out by yourself, but it's way more effective to do it in a short hour with people. And so I kind of want to incorporate those elements into design and learning together.
I really like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That's
Hmm.
that live learning, that real-time learning. It's like, a lot of people say that they feel a great workout when they're playing a sport, like swimming
Hmm.
or basketball or tennis, and you don't even realize that you're exercising because you're just having fun,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
for some
Exactly.
people, that's how they have to exercise, just do a sport.
Hmm.
And I kind of feel that same relation with Relume Rumble. Maybe it's hard for you to sit down and watch a 2-hour YouTube video. But if
Hmm.
you're at Relume Rumble and you're engaged with that, you're having fun and you're learning just naturally, but it doesn't feel like you're actually sitting down and watching a YouTube video and educating
Yeah.
yourself. So that's cool, right? People like that. A lot of people like that. So I'm really excited for the future of what that becomes. Very cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I have to ask, what are you really efficient in? That's the next question here.
Right. Um, Yeah, I gave it some thought. I think I'm efficient in just connecting with new people. Um, so just to add more to my story, when I jumped into tech and I joined that boot camp, 3-month boot camp, like I was so new to the space. So for me, I'm like, I need to understand what's going on or who's who. So I like within my 3-month bootcamp, which is pretty intensive, I started running this event space called Juice Labs, like getting the creative juices flowing. And I brought in like local industry experts and held like monthly events where I would have panel speakers and just like, and it actually was a way for me to learn like okay, what's the difference between project and product management, the art of communication. I had like logo design, so I brought in like logo designers. So I was really efficient in just running meetings, and then having an efficient agenda too. Even when I run like meetings now with Relume or like whoever I'm coordinating with, or like clients. Like I love Notion, so that's like my engineering nerd coming out, because like you can templatize things, and so I have like a perfect templatized meeting minutes. So yeah, having efficient agenda. Um, but yeah, I would say I'm efficient at like just connecting with people.
That's
Hmm.
great. Sounds very organized, which
Yes,
is
you have
a
to
very,
be.
I think,
Yeah.
very calming, right? If you're just an organized person and you enjoy the organization, that that's nice. I like that. And I
Hmm.
have a sense that you have a really awesome Notion. That in your Notion, it
Yeah.
looks good. You got great templates. I can imagine that. So that's cool. Nice. That's a nice share. Okay. Let us now continue moving forward and also bring up some comments. We have one from Devin. Josh is brand new to Twitter and yet has connected and is known by so many people. Like how? And Josh, I just pulled up, has 589 followers on Twitter. I think it took me a lot of time to get to that many followers.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, totally. And I think a
I
lot
have
of
no
people would
clue.
have that same. Well, if you say you're really efficient at connecting with people, then I would think that that's really beneficial to Twitter followers, right? Not to just get the
Yeah.
highest amount, but if you're good at connecting with people and you connect with someone, they're going to follow you on Twitter.
Mhm.
So, in theory, you've done that 589 times very efficiently.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's weird, and like managing social media is a whole discipline, because I feel like one of the biggest challenges I see right now, like just in our society, is like massive distraction. And I feel like those who are really successful know how to manage distraction, or like are super focused, whether it's like batching work or all that stuff. So that's still a huge challenge, like even like all the multiple Slack groups that we're a part of and all the different communities. And like even now I'm like, it's so funny, my wife's like, well, are you now a YouTuber, are you an influencer? And I'm like, I don't know, this is such a new thing to me. But yeah, like people are reaching out to me, I don't know who they are. So like how do I manage that? And um so that's an interesting thing. So if you do like try to reach out to me, if I don't respond back, like don't take it personally. Like I'm still trying to learn how to manage this whole like I need to find a system for this too. So yeah.
Yes. That's a great observation that there's so many distractions and being able to manage them is
Hmm.
something that can help you be successful in many aspects, not just work, just in life. So I love that comment. Let's bring up a few more comments and then let's go down to the advice part of the show. Victoria confirming, I agree. Talking with Josh is so easy. He makes the conversation fun. Nice. Dale Jensen, Josh is right on. Learning is so key. Learning to catch up, learning to stay current, and learning and
Hmm.
discovering what's next. Never stop learning. Yeah, Dale.
Hmm.
Great addition to
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I learning's a good one. You got to do that. Or
Hmm.
if you don't, if that's not one of the things that you're good at, you will get left behind in this industry. Right? You have to continuously
Yeah.
learn in this industry.
And I think that's where community comes in, because you can only curate so much information at once. But if you have a strong community that like they kind of vet, top things, kind of like, product hunt, like it's upvoted. And so that cuts out all the time of learning.
Nice. Yeah, that is true. And then last one from Eric. Yep, I like to organize things too. Yeah,
Yep.
That's
That's the
that's
way.
good. Organize is good. I'll say before we move on, I'll say sometimes I like to organize things, and sometimes I don't like to organize things. I'm a
Hmm.
selective organizer. How about that? So I got to work on that.
Nice.
Okay, next community advice. Josh, you told us what you're good at. We know your strengths. We know your skills. So for the people that are listening that see you as a leader, what can they
Hmm.
do to follow you? What can they do to follow in your path, in your footsteps, get to know you better? How do you answer that question?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say find me on Twitter. I think that's the best place. It's a nice plug. Subscribe to the Relume channel on YouTube. I also started a personal channel. It's called The Digital Third. And so that's kind of I eventually want to build something larger, like a more online community. It might kind of overlap with what we're doing with Relume as well, but yeah, you can subscribe to that. um my advice to everyone listening, I would say, for me, like I'm going through this journey, it's still new for me, but I would want to, even with the digital third, I'm documenting my design process with like client work. And so I think for me, what you'll get out of me is I want to try to be as authentic and honest as possible. um Again, like, we're living in a world where people show their highlights of their day on social media and Instagram, but like for me, I want to show the real raw process, like boring, like just even you'll the recent stream on digital third. um I was just like talking to people on gather. And so yeah, if you just want to follow like that raw process, that's kind of the content I'll be putting out. Because I just want to show people, like, it's not glam and glitz. It's like you got to put in hard work and it takes time. And I think people want to relate to that, like, because they look at, the people who've made it up top and it's like perfect, it's pixel perfect, and like how do I reach up there? And so I'm just a no code nobody. I'm just trying to figure it out. So if that helps you too, then I hope my content can help you out. So another
Nice.
advice is, if you're feeling stuck in an area, like, reach out. Just, I think in our mindset, especially when things are kind of falling apart, it's so easy to just get myopic and get overwhelmed by the situation. So I would encourage you, just like reach out, whether it's, yeah, like a tweet. And that's like, the community was super insanely helpful and encouraging, to just bring me out of that hole and, like, take me the next few steps. So I was really blown away. So I would say that's my advice: just reach out. So you never know where it'll lead you. Like right now I'm talking with you, Joe. So again, I'm kind of pinching
Yeah.
myself.
Nice. So now I'm really starting to see the skill of connecting with people, because when we asked for
Mm.
advice, your advice was really connect with me, right? That's
Yeah.
and that's good advice for a lot of people that, watch the raw process. Watch it where it's not pixel perfect.
Hmm.
Send me a DM. Let's talk about something. Let's connect on something. Or just reaching out to the community, right? When you said if
Hmm.
you're feeling stuck, reach out, it's not necessarily to you, Josh. It's to the community. It's to whoever you
Yeah.
think should be reached out to. So these advices are really centered towards connecting with people. So that
Hmm.
I see that connection between your skill and what you're telling people to do. So I really like that. And we have shared in the chat the Digital Third YouTube channel and the Relume YouTube channel. So go
Nice.
ahead. If you
Thank you.
want to follow Josh, go ahead and follow both of those accounts. Follow him on Twitter. And I think that's where you're going to get uh, this deeper connection, which is really
Hmm.
important, right? You're a big fan of community. Everybody listening is probably a big fan of community. This is
Hmm.
now a community connection opportunity. I love it.
Awesome. So
Anything else
good.
to share on the advice side of it before we go into challenges and next steps?
um no, I think that's it. Just like, um I remember watching your streams for like so many episodes, and again, I was that person, just like, I there's a lot of people right now watching, and I was at that space where I'm like, oh, I'm just a viewer. But um and yeah, like, but the thought of like actually going on the other side, or even starting a live stream, or even like doing something public, wasn't even in my mindset. I think what really helped me was like these live streams, these chats, the comments. Like, I when I first started entering something, and then someone brought my comment up, like, that was very euphoric. I was like, oh, I'm like really acknowledged. I They acknowledged me, and that was huge. And I would say, if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. So I think that's what's fun. The difference between attending a live stream versus watching a recording, it's that interactivity, it's that engagement of conversation.
Wow. That is inspiring. I love that comment because you're right. We have 30 viewers, 50 viewers, 100 viewers, but
Hmm.
maybe only 20% or 30% of them are active in the chat, or maybe less than
Hmm.
that. So if you're watching and you're not active in the chat, let's get a comment. Even if it's your first comment ever, let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's bring you up on the screen. And yeah, that's really inspiring because a lot of people just need that little tiny push in one direction
Hmm.
to help them say,
Hmm.
wow, I love this. This is what I want to do. Or this is the direction I need to go in. And I had no idea you were watching the shows. I remember
Hmm.
talking to you a few weeks ago and you said, I've been a Finsweet fan for years. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Hmm.
I've only known you for like 2 or 3 months. And that's
Yeah.
that's why, because you were just a viewer, not a
Hmm.
participant.
Exactly. Exactly.
So nice. That's good. Let's get those comments going. Let's bring them up on the screen. And let's also move into the challenges and next step section. So, this next part of the show is about talking about your challenges, right? Not everything is perfect, not everything goes really well. Sometimes there's challenges in work and outside of work. So, now let's talk about those. What do you see as challenges in your day?
Oh man. So I was watching the stream with Pixelita, and if you're still watching, thanks for sharing everything. And yeah, I totally relate. Being a flow parent, so I had my daughter 2 years ago. This is the middle of the pandemic, and man, it was challenging. It's just balancing work and life with limited time and limited energy. So that is what I have to deal with all the time. Even just like now I'm pretty tight financially because I'm still trying to make up like the salary that I had in my previous startup. Childcare is expensive. It's like a little, it's like a almost like another mortgage. So yeah, just trying to juggle everything. I remember I was doing daddy daycare at one point, before my daughter could go into daycare full time, and my capacity to do work was like at a 30%. And so then it just made me think like, and again, I'm like low on sleep, so my mental capacity is not 100% too. Um, so that was like, now it's a little better, but I'm still trying to manage things. So there's a lot of moving pieces up in the air. Um, I feel like I'm just kind of venting at at this moment, but uh, I,
Well, let me ask
yeah,
a question about that before you move on.
sure,
So, what do you do to avoid that? To avoid
yeah.
only being partially there mentally, or only being able to use 30% of your workday? Like, it's only venting if there's no solution. So if you come with like a
Mhm,
mini solution here, then it's just
yeah.
you're solving problems. So to everybody out there, what have you done to improve this?
Okay, I would say, I mean, that period of 30% output is over now. I would say for those who are kind of in a similar situation, even like, a kid under 1 year old, tell like I told myself this is just for a season. And so you have to ride through these short little seasons until it's over, and then things open up, and they did. So that was one, to know that it doesn't last forever. For at the end of the day, it's forming good habits, like, and that's something I'm really working on now. But it is challenging because with family or with a kid or like other priorities, they take yeah, they take precedence, right? So you just have to drop like your scheduled plan and then shuffle around. And so that's like Pixelita said, I think she said, if I want to, maybe I want to have a sandwich, but it may not happen or something like that, right? So I did hire a coach about 2 months ago to help me point things out. So that is because for me, I really need to establish good habits. Like I want to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning. Um, I do it a little bit, but again, it's not consistent. So I'm really working on like hammering down consistency in the midst of chaos. Um, so that is like my challenge to over establish probably in the next 6 months. Um, but again, like I was sharing with you earlier, I'm kind of in the middle of a move. So I'm like buying and selling a place, and that, everyone experiences is like the biggest change because like your whole physical environment of how you structure and organize like your works, your office and your kitchen, things like that. Like that's all uh, up in chaos as well. So um, yeah, I would say I'm up for a huge transformation in like the next 6 months.
Nice.
I don't know if that answered your
Active.
question, but yeah.
It does. It does. Active challenge overcoming, active problem solving. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Like, continuing to iterate. You're changing
Yes.
careers, you're changing work, you're changing this, kids are changing age, the season's
Hmm.
changing, and like you just have to adapt to that, and you have to be ready to do anything at any time. And
Hmm.
yeah, and be able to plan for that. So good. Okay. This is an active solution. I love it. That's great to hear. Let's take a quick pause and say hello to
Hmm.
the people that commented.
Yeah.
We have Tori Trey. I am here. Hello, hello. Thank you
Hey,
for
Tori.
commenting. We have Joseph Bates. Yo, what's up? How's it
Good to see
going?
you, Joseph.
We have Mark Z- Zbrun.
Zabrun.
No code nobody right here. Flow parent from
Hey,
Argentina. Future no code
nice.
somebody. Well, welcome,
Right
Mark.
on.
Hope to see you in the comments more. Abby Rana. I don't comment usually, but I'm in many Finsweet events. I've commented and slowly increasing myself to put myself forward. Now I've been following almost all Finsweet and
Nice.
Flow Party events. Great.
Right on.
I encourage you to continue commenting in both. Anything Finsweet,
Can I
anything Flow Party. Yeah?
I like to add something to that. Even Flow Party, that was another. I don't know. There's something about us humans. We just need acknowledgement. But I attended Melissa's Flow Party, and immediately she's like, "Hey, Josh, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh," because I saw her on, she was featured on Webflow's YouTube channel with that fancy episode. I'm like, "Oh, the Melissa Mendez like reached out to me," and so things like that made those steps more yeah more gradual to where I am now. So that's great, Abby.
Nice. Great. So that's a great testimonial to Flow Party. And yeah,
Hmm.
Melissa Mendez has a very nice warmth and
Hmm.
welcomingness to her. So yeah, that's a great community. Definitely be a part of that. And yeah, welcome, Abby. And let's bring up a few more. Oh, these are questions.
Mm.
We're going to do these questions in a little bit. First, I want to just finish up this challenges section, and then we'll get into these questions. So,
Hmm.
Josh, let's continue with challenges. Like, what else
Sure.
is a challenge, and how can you give any advice of how you're trying to overcome that challenge?
Yeah, like I'll just continue on like forming good habits, but I think accountability, like if you I have all these big changes, that means I have big goals to reach. I have like I'm on a journey. I would go from point A to point B. So then I know myself, and again, that's like you got to take stock of your strengths, right? I'm a very community driven guy. Um, Definitely more extroverted than introverted, so I need that external interaction. So having accountability, saying, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, Z by next week. And then people saying, yeah, holding me account to that, that helps. Um, and also again, yeah, having like systems, so training your mind, because even changing one habit, um it takes a while, it's a lot of rewiring, right? So I think just pushing for consistency even though you fail. It's just like like I'm learning seeing my daughter learn how to walk. Like you'll stumble a lot, but don't take those stumbles as like, oh, everything's failed. Like just pick yourself up, keep going. I think our relationship to failure, it needs a lot of reframing as well. So when you are learning something or you want to take on new things or expand yourself, um, shift that relationship to failure to saying, oh, this is just me learning. So I would, yeah, those are some key things I would share. But I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, I love how you're approaching these as active challenges.
Mm.
Not like, hey, these were
Hmm.
challenges I had in the past and now they're completely done. It's like this is just an active challenge that I'm currently addressing.
Yes,
And
a
through the
lot.
processes and through, yeah, that's very cool. So yeah, and I think it's really valuable when you share this stuff. So I'll challenge you to
Hmm.
maybe share some of this progress as you continue with it. Like I
Oh,
want
on
to see
like
a tweet
Twitter or
about
something?
you selling your house and moving, right?
Yeah.
Like this these are
Sure.
these are big
Yeah.
things. Yeah, and you're making big moves. So great. This is all really good advice. If anybody has questions about this, about maybe how Josh approaches this type of organization or this type of like understanding the process, please ask those questions because we're about to answer them right now. So let's go up in the chat to Pablo Cortez with a nice question. Josh,
Hmm.
why did you pick civil engineering? If you could
Yeah.
go back in time, would you have picked the same path or a different one?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I picked civil engineering because of architecture. So I was really into that, but at the time my university, they weren't offering an undergrad in towards architecture. And actually I was talking to other architects and they're like, oh, you should probably, for some reason they were discouraging me to go to architecture. And then I later found out that um all everyone wants, it's so sexy, it's glamorous, but usually the good architects, they're like, you have to be super super talented and they're few and far between, and all the rest of the architects are like, they're actually underpaid, and they work like a lot. So they said you should actually stick to engineering because that's more practical, you actually get paid better and things like that. But that kind of drained my soul at after 7 years. So, but to take a step back, I think, why did I even want to go to architecture or even design, like technical design and civil engineering? I realized I loved creating environments. So whether it's a feeling or a vibe through a video, like through my videos, or even this experience through YouTube live streams. Even my wedding, when I was planning that with my wife, like I was like mapping out the floor plan of like the flow of people and like they're gonna arrive at the reception desk, and then after that, like cocktail tables, and then different experiences. So like I just love creating the environment where people are immersed in this space, and then yeah, experience something. And that basically is kind of like experience design or UX design. UX design is just applied to a digital canvas, but it's the same concept.
Nice. Okay. So that's a really interesting answer.
Yeah.
I think that there's really good value in doing that profession,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Like
yeah, for sure.
the value, I mean, that led you to have a really nice user floor plan at your wedding, right?
Hmm.
If you
Hmm.
majored in something else or you studied something else, maybe I think the answers to your questions here would be very different. You're a very process oriented person.
Mhm.
You like to understand the best way to do things and to iterate. So, yeah, good. The path led you here, which is the most important thing, right? Where you are today and how you
Mhm.
feel about that. So great.
Yes. Yeah.
What else do we have question wise? Let's bring up this comment from Gabe. This is a nice one. Let's talk about this. Kids really have that get up and try again philosophy.
Yeah.
And then as we grow up, we gradually lose this ability to deal with frustration.
Mhm.
Yes, I think younger kids are frustrated for less time overall.
Mhm.
I think adults, you can be frustrated for something for days or weeks or years. But a kid, the younger the kid is, the quicker they forget what they were frustrated about. So if you're a little
Mhm.
baby trying to walk, you fall down, it's frustrating, but like that frustration is already gone. You're already ready
Mhm.
to get to that next step. So,
Mhm.
yeah, Josh, please comment on this. How do
Oh,
you
man.
deal with those frustrating moments? And you can answer this in a work perspective, a personal perspective. Instead of getting
Yeah.
frustrated, how do you just continue with iterating on your process?
Um, Actually, I really loved like when I got into UX design, they push design thinking, which is yeah, that iterative approach where like and I just apply that in life. It just makes sense. Like everything is an experiment. Like your initial first version 1.0 plan, it's not the perfect plan. You have to like put it through the ringer, you have to test it out, and then you have to tweak, you have to adjust and do it again. And so really that's the same concept of like learning to walk or learning to do anything else. Even for me, live streaming and like all these concepts, I have so many ideas and I just want to like test it out. So um I would say take that approach. But yeah, I love what you said, Joe. Like how kids can let it go way quicker than adults. That is a really big insight. Because some of us just like hold on to failures and let it define us, and then that gets us stuck. And so we almost have to like. I actually went through counseling and all that stuff because I went through a lot of hard stuff even with my career back then. It was pretty traumatic. And by the way, I like some people still see it as there's some what's the word, it just looks bad, like, or like maybe there's something wrong with you, so then you need fixing through counseling. But it's, I see it as like people go to the gym to tune up their bodies. Why not go to a counselor or whatever to tune up your mind, tune up your emotional state? So um yeah, just kind of going through that to like unstuck yourself from a lot of these traumatic past. So I've learned now um that yeah, I can sense like when something's holding me back, and then I just kind of self-diagnose myself, and I really try my hardest to like let go. And if I can't by myself, then I reach out to someone else, so whether it's friends or family, and then or even further to do it professionally, right? So I just know overall, like if you don't deal with it and you don't resolve those things, those unresolved issues will pile up, they'll accumulate, and then they'll just like eventually it'll just come crashing down. So you gotta be diligent in maintaining that.
That reminds me of your key quality you said earlier, self-assurance. And I'm
Hmm.
sure a lot of that
Yeah.
self-assurance has to come through here. That,
Yeah.
you some people could see 7 years of civil engineering, and then you go into this, like, other, let's call it freelance
Yes.
world. Some people
Yeah.
could see this as a failure, right? But you don't see it as a failure. It's the next
Hmm.
step. It's the next thing that you want to do.
Hmm.
So yeah, being able to first not get frustrated if you don't need to be, and if you are frustrated, to understand that you're frustrated and be ready to make that change and try really hard to let it go. I also like to do that. If something's
Hmm.
frustrating me, I either drop it and say, this is really
Hmm.
silly to be frustrated about. Why am I frustrated about it? Or I make a change. I talk to
Hmm.
the person I'm frustrated with, or I finish the task that was frustrating
Hmm.
me. And now it's done. It's over. So, yeah, this is excellent advice, I think, for everybody listening, what
Hmm.
Josh just said. And yeah, nice. There's a lot
What
of
do you
good things
think,
coming from
Joe?
this episode. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I know we only have
Yeah.
5 minutes left, but do you think it takes a certain like personality to go through that? Because whether it's emotional struggle and stuff, sometimes people don't have like the wiring or the training, like mental training, to let it go, or they get stuck in it, like they get caught up in their emotions. Um, yeah. Any like did you always have that ability to unstuck yourself quickly, or was that something to develop?
I have. I have always done that. And I would have to attribute that to my parents. I think both of
Mm,
my parents were very good at that. So I would have to think I learned that from them. And I
mhm,
agree, there are a lot of people that don't have that type of training. And I like how you said training, because this is something
mm,
you can train. You can train your mind, right? And you talked about this throughout the episode, that you train yourself to get up at a certain time or train yourself to be better at letting things go. So I think with the right work, with the right
mhm,
self reflection, self assurance, that you can learn how to do this. It's not always easy. And sometimes I would say it's very difficult, but you can get there. So that's what I would say to the people out there. I don't have experience going from no to yes, but I will say that I think you can improve, because I've improved on it, even though
mm.
I kind of grew up that way. So yeah, that would be the answer, my answer to that
Got it.
question.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, now we have 4 minutes left. I want to make sure we have enough time for this. Um, First, like this video. If you've been watching, if you've been getting
Mhm.
value from Josh, I know you've been getting value from Josh. Please give us a like on this video. It's going to show it to more people so this message can be spread throughout the community. Next, I want to bring up a really nice comment from Brianna really quick. Therapy is extremely important for me. I always
Yes.
encourage others to get help. Important message. Everybody read that and, yeah, understand that this is a good thing. This is not a bad
Awesome,
thing.
Bree.
Some people think of it as bad, but it's not. Thank you, Bree, for sharing that. Miguel, great talk, guys. Amazing journeys. Thank you so much. And now, Josh, how can the community help you? This is now your
Mhm.
3-minute pitch to tell people what they can do to help you in your next steps.
Yeah, so get involved with Relume. So we're continuing trying fresh ideas and content. So we're actually going to roll out like community office hours, like an office hour hangouts, probably like over Zoom or something, because maybe it might be too intimidating, like doing it over live stream. We're gonna do more Relume Rumbles, design challenges, and then I'm actually in the process of building towards like a community training ecosystem. So it's funny how I actually have already been talking about like this training mindset. It's going to help designers improve their skills through like entertainment, education, and elements of gamification. So I can't reveal too much, but I'm like putting together this whole program. Um, and yeah, so I would say just get involved with Relume for now. Reach out to me, and then um, reach out to me if you want to be featured on Relume. Like I'm desperately looking for people to highlight on our streams. We want to celebrate more people, and I think it's a lot of the people are in this community as well. So um, yeah, that would be a good way to help out. Oh, I think you are on mute.
I am.
Oh,
I
there
was
you go.
searching for
Okay.
the Relume link. Josh, I'm going to share the Relume library link here in the chat. If you don't
Yes.
know Relume library, you need to know Relume library. The comments around this system are next level. Just do a quick search on Twitter for Relume, and you have all the testimonial you need. A lot of people find a lot of value in this. So, Josh,
Hmm.
it's nice that they have you on board. The product is great. and now the community around it we see is forming. So I'm very excited to see these next steps. So everybody get involved. It's the quickest way to build in Webflow. That's
Hmm.
what it is. So it's a big win for you.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, this is now the top of the hour. Thank you so much, Dale. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Abby. This is the
Thanks.
end of the
Thanks,
episode.
Bree.
I'd like to give a really special thank you to Josh Loh for being here on Community Day. And Josh, your final words to the audience for Community Day.
Oh man, I don't know. Stay positive, look out for opportunities, reach out for help, and I think this community will take care of you. We'll take care of you.
Love it. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you tomorrow for Build Day. We have a big announcement next Tuesday. You have to be there. And next Thursday, we have a community day with to be announced. Thank you all and have a great rest of the day and see you soon.